You might wake up one day and feel like you're floating through life, not lost, but not anchored either. The people you used to laugh with, the places that once felt like home, even your passions, none of them seem to hold the same weight anymore. And yet, instead of panic, there's peace. It's not apathy. It's not numbness. It's something else, something quieter and much deeper. It's as though a part of you has stepped outside the noise, and in that silence, you've started hearing truth for the first time. You're not broken or disconnected. You're detaching from illusions. What used to define you, titles, opinions, even relationships, now feels like clothing that no longer fits. You don't want to fix it. You don't even want it back. In this stage, the ego begins to dissolve, and the version of you that was built to fit into society's mold starts to fall away. And that can feel strange, like watching your reflection blur and fade. But there's also an unshakable stillness rising beneath the surface, one that doesn't need to prove or chase or belong. This is the silence that follows surrender. You begin to see that what you once called disconnection is really a deep alignment with something far more authentic. You're not abandoning the world. You're simply no longer anchored to its illusions. If you're feeling that space, that strange calm where the old world no longer fits, but the new hasn't fully formed yet, know this: you're not in limbo. You're in transition. You're not losing your life. You're reclaiming it. There comes a point in the final stage of awakening when solitude doesn't feel like loneliness anymore. It feels like oxygen. The noise of the world, once comforting or at least familiar, becomes unbearable. Conversations feel shallow. Social gatherings, even with people you love, start to feel draining rather than energizing. You begin pulling away, not out of bitterness or fear, but because you need the quiet. You need space to hear what's really going on inside you. Silence stops being empty. It becomes full of meaning. This is the sacred withdrawal. It's not the world rejecting you, and it's not you rejecting the world. It's you returning to yourself. You begin to notice how much of your energy was spent adapting, performing, accommodating. Now, you're listening more closely to what feels real. You read between the lines of your own life. You start to crave moments of stillness, long walks alone, sitting with your thoughts, staring at the sky without needing to name what you see. And slowly, you realize that solitude is not the absence of connection. It's the foundation of it. It's in this retreat that the deepest integration happens. You begin to understand that being alone is not a sign of weakness, but of readiness. Ready to release distractions. Ready to confront the final illusions. Ready to become whole without external mirrors. It's in this space, uncomfortable at first, but then deeply sacred, that the final fragments of your former self fall away. If solitude is calling to you louder than ever, don't silence it. That pull inward is the soul's final preparation. Let it take you where, as you move deeper into the final stage of awakening, sleep stops being what it used to be. You may find yourself waking up at strange hours, 2 a.m., 3:33 a.m., always with this eerie sense that something is happening beneath the surface. And it is. Your soul is wide awake, even if your body is exhausted. The veil between the conscious and subconscious grows thinner, and during these quiet, dark hours, messages start to come through, not always in words, but in feelings, symbols, images that refuse to fade when morning comes. Your dreams begin to change. They're no longer just the mind processing daily clutter. They become vivid, layered, often surreal. You may see people you've never met but somehow know, or visit places that feel more real than your waking world. You might even have dreams that later unfold in real life, as if time is folding in on itself. This isn't random. This is initiation. The dream space becomes your classroom, your sanctuary, your mirror, and sometimes your testing ground. It can feel disorienting, nights stretch on, and your body craves rest, but the deeper part of you knows. This is when the work is happening. Your system is recalibrating. You are being rewired to perceive beyond the physical, to feel the invisible threads that connect it all. And even though you're tired, there's also a quiet awe growing inside you. You're not just dreaming, you're remembering, you're receiving, you're becoming. If sleep has become strange, chaotic, or otherworldly, don't resist it. You're not broken. You're just waking up in a different dimension. At a certain point in your awakening, reality itself starts to feel off, not in a fearful or paranoid way, but subtly, almost playfully, strange. You might look at a clock and see repeating numbers everywhere, 11:11, 2022. Or you think of a song and it starts playing. You speak someone's name and they text you seconds later. These synchronicities pile up until you can no longer write them off as coincidence. It's as if the universe is winking at you, reminding you that everything is connected, that you are not separate from the pattern. You are the pattern becoming aware of itself. Time no longer behaves the way it used to. Hours vanish or stretch. You might feel like days are looping, or like something happened out of order. It's not memory loss. It's time unraveling from its rigid structure. You begin to notice the subtle glitches. Conversations feel like déjà vu. You walk into a room and feel like you've been there before in a dream or another life. You may even start to feel like you're watching life more than living it, as if a thin film has lifted between you and the world. These experiences aren't mistakes or malfunctions. They're signs the veil is thinning. Your perception is expanding beyond what the mind can neatly categorize. What once felt stable, the rules of time, space, logic, begin to dissolve, revealing the energetic architecture underneath. You're seeing the blueprint, not just the walls. If reality feels like it's bending, folding, or exposing its seams, trust it. You're not losing your grip. You're gaining a new lens. The illusion is cracking because your truth is finally strong enough. At this final stage, something strange begins to happen. You stop looking for answers in all the places you used to. The books, the gurus, the online courses, the endless stream of spiritual content that once inspired you now feels empty. You may even feel a quiet irritation when exposed to overly polished wisdom or curated enlightenment. It's not that those things are wrong. They served their purpose. But now you see through them. You've outgrown the performance of spirituality. The truth is no longer something you seek. It's something that rises from within. You stop needing constant affirmation or external validation of your path. The quotes that once moved you now feel like echoes of what you already know. The desire to be seen as awake vanishes because you understand that awakening was never about appearances, rituals, or vocabulary. It was about remembering who you are beneath all that. And now you're there. You may feel disillusioned for a moment, atomization, like you're walking away from something you once cherished. But that disillusionment is sacred. It's the death of imitation and the birth of embodiment. You realize that the journey was never about collecting spiritual ideas. It was about shedding everything that isn't truth. And real truth doesn't scream or market itself. It whispers, it moves quietly. It doesn't care if it's understood. It simply is. If you're losing interest in spiritual trends, teachers, or even the need to explain your path, that's not regression, that's growth. The final stage isn't about learning more. It's about finally trusting that what you've been seeking is already living inside you. In this final stretch of awakening, identity begins to dissolve, not in a dramatic, chaotic way, but with quiet persistence. You find yourself questioning everything you once believed yourself to be. Your name, your roles, your preferences, your goals, they all start to feel like costumes you wore so long, you forgot you were wearing them. And when they start falling away, there's a strange sensation, part grief, part relief. It's like watching an old version of yourself slowly walk into the distance, waving goodbye with love, no longer needed. You might say, I don't know who I am anymore. And for the first time, that doesn't scare you. It actually feels honest, true, because in that space where identity once stood, something more authentic begins to emerge. Something that doesn't need labels, achievements, or stories to justify its worth. You no longer feel the need to be someone. You just want to be. And that desire is not passive. It's powerful. The ego resists, of course. It wants to hold on. It whispers that you're disappearing. But you're not. You're becoming. You're returning to your essence, the self that exists before the world told you who to be. And in that return, you stop reacting to life and begin responding to it, not from your history, but from presence, from clarity, from a place that doesn't have to prove anything to anyone. If your identity feels like it's unraveling, let it. That's not your